That's not a thing. That doesn't actually happen. When you see those cues, that's when you're gonna latch your baby, because I live in Canada and we have that here. Feeding on demand is really, really beneficial. Yeah, I know, this sounds like poo-poo, yeah, like read a book. If you're thinking about breastfeeding, these are the tips that are gonna help you see success. Everyone is learning when it comes to breastfeeding, whether you are a first-time parent or whether you've had lots and lots of babies, because each baby is different and therefore every breastfeeding journey is going to be different. So by the end of this video, you are going to have my top 5 tips that are going to help you see more success as you start your breastfeeding journey. The first tip is going to be feed on demand. Feeding on demand has a ton of benefits for you and for baby. It's going to help you guys to bond, which is really, really amazing, especially in those first few days. But it is also going to help you to establish and maintain your breast milk supply, because when you're feeding on demand, your baby is basically giving your body signals. It's telling your brain, hey, I need more milk and I need more milk right now, as opposed to doing it on a schedule. And that removal of milk as your baby needs it, that's going to tell your brain to continue to make that milk according to their growth and development schedule. Because reminder, to make more milk, you need to remove more milk more often. So when your baby is showing you some of these early hunger cues, and pay attention to those so that you're not trying to latch like a pterodactyl that is starving and super, super angry. But when you see those cues, that's when you're going to latch your baby and you're going to feed them either in a nursing session or you would be pumping your breast milk out. And in those moments, you are removing more milk more often, telling your brain, hey, oh, baby needs more milk. Let's get on the production. Not only does feeding on demand help set your baby up for success in growth and development, because they're basically telling your body what they need and when, it might also set you up for success for more sleep at nighttime sooner. Let me show you what I mean. If you have a baby and you are feeding them on a schedule, let's say you're feeding them every 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, maybe every 2 to 3, depending on your baby. Let's say first feed is maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. So they feed at 5 o'clock, okay? Then we're gonna go around 7:30, 8 o'clock, we feed again. Okay, now we're not gonna feed them again until, about 11 o'clock. We're gonna feed them. Whoop, okay? Now 2 o'clock comes around, it's time for a feed again. Now maybe it's 5:30, we're gonna feed them again. And now it's around 8:30 or 9 and we're gonna feed them one more time. Now this will be the point where we are usually ready to set our baby up to go to sleep. And we know that they're not actually going to sleep, but this is usually sort of the cap of the nighttime feeding, okay? So take a look at this. This might be what is in your baby's system and tummy, obviously depending on digestion, when they are ready to go to sleep if you are feeding on the schedule. Now I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna have your baby feed on demand. Now remember, when you're feeding on demand, this is not going to be predictable because you're no longer feeding every X number of hours like you would be if you were feeding on a schedule. And that might result in your baby feeding a lot more times during the day than you would have if you were going by the clock, okay? So let's say it's 5:30, your baby wakes up, they want to feed, okay? Now maybe it's 6 o'clock and they want to feed again, just a little bit, a little top up, okay? Now maybe it's 8 o'clock, hey, they had a nice big stretch, okay? But now it's 9:15 and your baby wants to feed again, so you feed them, okay? Now let's say it is 10:30, they have another little feed before a nap, okay? There you go, boop. Okay, now maybe you could 10:30, let's say 1 o'clock, okay? They're gonna feed again, they're gonna have a nice feed here, okay? Now let's say it's 2:30, a couple hours go by, okay? Now maybe it's 5 o'clock, they're gonna feed again. Okay, now maybe they go 6 o'clock because now we're into the witching hour. They're going to cluster feed a little bit, little top up there. Maybe it's 7:30. Okay, and now maybe 7:30, 8:30. Okay, and now you're getting ready to put them down for a sleep, okay? Take a look at the difference between feeding on a schedule, what they're set up with by 9 o'clock in the evening, versus maybe feeding on demand, what they could be set up with in the evening. You can see how your baby is sort of altering things to try to get what they need moving into those evening hours as they get sort of used to those rhythms of daytime and nighttime. This is another reason why I always say feeding on demand is really, really beneficial when you are starting your breastfeeding journey. In case you're wondering, yes, that milk did come out of a bag because I live in Canada and we have that here. Now, feeding on demand, it becomes a lot easier if you increase the amount of time that you spend skin to skin with your baby, which happens to be the second tip on my list. Like, what are the chances of that? But anyway, you've heard me talk about the benefits of that golden hour, that uninterrupted golden 1 hour of skin to skin time with your baby right after they are born. But the benefits of skin to skin, they don't like hard stop at hour 1 plus a minute of your baby's life. They are going to continue on in those first few weeks of your baby being on the outside. outside. And those benefits, of course, include them regulating their body temperature and their blood sugar levels, and also helping to regulate their heart rate and their breathing rate now that they are on the outside and relying on their own circulation system. But the benefits also include things like lowering stress for both you and baby. And as you can imagine, if you and baby are feeling less stress as you are learning and adapting to breastfeeding together, that's going to go a long way in the success of your breastfeeding journey. Also, when you are skin to skin with baby while breastfeeding, that makes it a lot easier for you to just go ahead and latch your baby on demand because they are right there with you while still enjoying those benefits of skin to skin. So that means, you in just like a nursing bra or nothing if you're into it out on display, plus your baby naked just in a diaper to really, really feel that bonding and that lessening stress effect. Now, I have spent a lot of time skin to skin with babies because I have 4 of my own. If you are new here, my name is Tina. I am a certified breastfeeding specialist. I am also a certified perinatal nurse, and I would love it if you could click subscribe and put those notifications on so you don't miss any videos. And if you are not new here, I say this all the time, but thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. The third tip on my list is to prepare ahead of time. And yeah, I know this sounds like poo-poo, like read a book, but really we prepare so in depth for birth. But then you have your baby and then I'm going to hand it to you and be like, okay, see you later, you're on your own. And now you have a brand new baby and you are at home and you are on your own without the professionals that you had if you gave birth in the hospital or in a birthing center. Also, drives me crazy when experts are like, your milk is going to come in, which is false information because your milk is actually in the form of colostrum. It's been in since like halfway through your pregnancy. What you're waiting to happen is a transition from colostrum to more mature milk. And that transition usually happens around days 3 to 5. And guess where you are on days 3 to 5? Yeah, for most people, you're at home on your own. So the reason I say preparation is really important, I don't mean like read a textbook and memorize it front to back. What I mean is have a basic knowledge base of things about breastfeeding, how to latch, troubleshooting a latch, talking about your milk supply. But then what I want you to have is somewhere that you can go to if you hit those road bumps during your postpartum journey. So during learning how to breastfeed, waiting for that transition to happen, wondering, is my baby getting enough milk? I want you to know where to go for that information. Also, not only are you looking at breastfeeding, you're also looking at baby care. And a lot of those things, unless you've had a baby, they are all going to be new skills for you. So you can prep for all of that stuff postpartum. I say like you make a birth plan, also make a postpartum plan. And the selfless plug, here it is. I know. You can find care courses right here on my website, okay? I do have a prenatal course, but if you've already had your baby and now you're in the newborn trenches, you might actually be looking for a breastfeeding course and a baby care course, which are all here for you. Or you can bundle it all up and then you can be like a baby expert, like a baby ninja. So preparation, it's really important. We're already at tip 4, but the next tip is actually one that not a lot of people know about. So I'd love for you to stick around. This tip 4, real quickie, hydration. You need to be hydrated to maintain your breast milk supply. Now, I've said it before. It's not like you can just magically down a whole bunch of water and boom, you're going to have this copious breast milk supply. That is not how it works at all. But if you are dehydrated, that can definitely negatively affect your breast milk supply. So if we think about it on a day-to-day basis, if you are not pregnant and not breastfeeding, you should be taking in around 1.5 to 2 liters of water, which might surprise people because I know myself, I really don't take in that much water. But it's really important when you are breastfeeding because you are now supplying an extra human with their hydration and nutritional needs. So what you want to do is try to boost that amount that you would have not pregnant, not breastfeeding by about 1 liter or 1.5 liters. So now you're looking at taking in about 2.5 to 3 liters of water. And I know that sounds like a lot, and it is. I will not discount that at all. And it can be hard to track. So here's what I did as a tip from me to you. I basically had a whole bunch of really cute water bottles because that made me feel a little bit more like drinking them. But I would have them at everywhere I would breastfeed in my house, and I would make sure that they were always full. You can also give your partner this job. Like, hey, I'm doing the lifting here. You make sure my water bottles are always full. And that way, once you get your baby latched and you're comfortable, you can then drink while they are drinking. And then it becomes a little bit of a more natural cycle. Now, I'm sure not a lot of new parents are like tracking on an app, like how much water that they are intaking so that they can make sure that they're hitting those goals. Though I'm sure that there are probably apps out there. So, you like it. I love it. What I did was I tried to make sure I was drinking water, but I paid attention to what my body was doing because your body is going to tell you. When you go pee, you know how you pee in the morning and it's like stinky and really, really concentrated orange? Well, that's because you're a little bit dehydrated, right? You haven't been drinking water for however long you were sleeping. But as you start to increase your water intake through the day, your pee should be getting definitely less of that concentrated stinky smell, but it should also be getting lighter and paler yellow as the day goes on. You are aiming aiming for a really pale yellow or clear if you're like an overachiever and you're really, really hydrated, but your body is going to tell you how you are doing in the hydration sense. Also, reminder, it doesn't have to be just straight water, because like 2.5 or 3 liters of straight water, that feels a little bit boring. So you can definitely flavor your water. Remember that a lot of your foods actually have water in them. So, your vegetables have a higher water intake. So, up those veggies if you can, but tea has water in it. And if you're drinking the flavored drinks, those have water in it. So really, just focus on trying to feel good and remember to hydrate when you can. And then, of course, as a big take-home message, there is no magical food or drink that's going to make your breast milk supply suddenly be everything that you need it to be. Now, are these foods and drinks that are called Galactagogues, by the way, are they a place in a plan of care for you? Yes, they absolutely can be. I'm going to click a video up top on ways that you can increase your breast milk supply. But definitely if you're going to eat, a lactation cookie, or you're going to drink a special drink that's going to make your breast milk instantaneously be so copious, your baby's just like drowning in all the breast milk. No, that's not a thing. That doesn't actually happen. You can incorporate them into a long-term plan though, because we know that to make more milk, you need to remove more milk more often. So that piece needs to be a part of the plan, maybe along with those lactation cookies or the blue Gatorade. And my last tip, as promised, it's my favorite because this is the one that I really see people making gains in their breast milk output when they add it in. That is compression when you are nursing or when you are pumping. If you think about how your baby feeds on the breast normally, okay? They are latched with that nice big angle, they have lots of tissue in their mouth, and they are feeding, okay? But when they are feeding, they're removing the milk from around here. They're not necessarily removing the milk from the back part of the breast, and that is where your milk glands are, which is where your milk is being made. And if you think about the breast anatomy as a tree, okay? Those leaves, the farther out parts, those are going to be your milk glands. That is where your milk is being produced. Now that has to go down to the branches from the leaves. The branches, they simulate your milk ducts, okay? And then once you go from the branches, you go to the tree trunk. This is where it's grounded in the ground, okay? And that is your nipple. That's where your baby is getting the milk from. So for the most part, when you're feeding, we are removing that milk from those milk ducts out through the nipple, right? But what about the milk back here? Remember, to make more milk, you need to remove more milk back here more often. So how can we get to this milk back here so that baby can actually remove it from the breast for you? We can add compression. You know what's wild? I have to actually use my crocheted breast for this part because sometimes when I use my other models, my videos get taken down. So it's good to know that we can have, dudes that are shirtless in gray sweatpants, but not real looking boobies. Anyway, let's move that milk from back here towards the nipple so that your baby can access and remove it. What you're going to do is you're going to take a flat hand, you're going to place it back here on the tissue, and you're going to simply slide it forward as your baby is sucking or as your breast pump is pulling, okay? Now remember, there is not just milk glands way back here. There are milk glands all the way around your breast. So we're not just doing it in one spot. You're going to move your hand as your nursing session continues. And in this way, you are taking that milk from back here, you are moving it down the milk ducts towards the nipple so that your baby can access it. So not only does this allow your baby to remove more milk, which is going to help you maintain that breast milk supply, it also makes sure that they get that more fatty hind milk, and that's going to help with growth and development. It can also help with a fussy baby, and it might help them go a little bit longer between feeds, which might actually equate to more sleep for you. So the more you know. I love talking all things breastfeeding. If you have more breastfeeding questions, go ahead and pop them down in the comments. Maybe I can do a whole separate video for you answering all of your individual questions. If you want more info on breastfeeding basics, this is a great place to start. So share that with people that you know that are expecting or are new parents. If you like this one, show it some love, give it a thumbs up, click on that subscribe button. And as always, be happy, stay healthy, have fun,